Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. It's Tuesday, the patch notes have been posted, which means it's time for the top 5 changes of patch 11.23. Now, this is the preseason patch. There is so much stuff packed into this patch that I will not have time to talk about it all today, guys. I know ordinarily these videos are a good way for you guys to avoid reading the patch notes, but in this situation, it's basically going to be impossible. There is so much impactful things for me to talk about that I can't possibly cover them all, so definitely after this, go ahead and click on the link down in the comments or down in the description below. Go check out the patch notes on your own and take a look at the things I may not have covered. I'll, of course, be covering the 5 biggest changes, but definitely this is going to be one you guys are going to want to read, as a ton of things are going to be shaken up in preparation for preseason. As a final caveat here, there are no champion changes. So if the only thing you're interested in is whether or not your main got buffed or nerfed, that's not this patch. That will likely be a patch or two later. So if that's all you're here for, you can go ahead and safely click off of this. If you're interested to see the systemic changes, though, we're going to be going ahead and hopping right into things. Starting off, of course, with our number 5 change, which are the Scuttle Crab changes here. Now, this is a big deal because it means that that first crab is so much less impactful than it used to be. Before, it was like, if you didn't get a first crab, like, you lost the game, right? Like, as a jungler, you were totally screwed. Now, the first crab has significantly reduced XP gains, so you don't have to worry about it as much. This tilts the odds back in favor of scaling junglers, or junglers that aren't very good duelists, allowing them to get a little bit more time to actually farm up and make plays on the map before they actually have to contest a crab that matters. So I'm a big fan of these changes, and it's definitely going to affect how you guys will be approaching your games. But that's sort of who cares, right? Who cares about crab? Let's talk about some of the more interesting changes with our number 4 change, the new Drakes. So 2 new Drakes, and by extension 2 new Rifts, have been added to the game, the Hextech Drake and the Chemtech Drake. Now Chemtech Drake, the stacking buff on this one is a really good one to stack against beefy enemy teams, because you're almost always going to be able to proc the extra damage, and beefy teams care about it because they're able to thrive better while at low health, which makes more sense the more health you have and the beefier you get. So interesting little buff here, and I feel like the soul is potentially extremely strong, but you do have to die to use it, so in that regard, maybe it's not as powerful, but definitely a good way to lock out a game that you're ahead in. Meanwhile, the Hextech Drake feels a little all over the place in terms of the bonuses granted, but it's definitely a strong one if you're able to stack it up on multiple Drakes. And the Soul is like Infernal, but it has a lot of utility. A 2-second slow on an 8-second cooldown is extremely strong, especially when you consider that it's area of effect. So you hit one slow to slow somebody down, that allows another ally to get in range to land their slow, and then you just kind of kill the guy from there. So definitely a very powerful one. Both Rifts are very interesting, but I feel like the Chemtech Rift has the more interesting transformation by giving you the camouflage zones in the jungle. Now, it doesn't feel like that's going to be as impactful as some of the other Rift changes, but definitely exciting one to try and play around with. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how we're actually able to use them in-game. Moving on down to the new items. There have been a handful of new items added to the game on this patch. I'm just going to go through these real quick. Crown of the Shattered Mage is a new mage mythic that will 100% find a home on artillery mages or any mage that needs protection against bursty champions or divers. If you find yourself against a Zed or LeBlanc mid lane, or if the enemy team has a lot of guys that are going to be coming to the back line, or if you're just a champion that wants to be hanging out in the back, never taking damage, and needs more protection, if they would take damage, that's where you're going to find use for Crown of the Shattered Queen. Even Shroud is a new tank mythic that enables aggressive supports to be, well, more aggressive by amping damage after you CC somebody. Leona, Thresh, and Alistair are all going to find use here, and definitely even if you're normally a Locket player, if you get ahead in a tank support position, this is a good option for you. Axiom Arc is going to be good for assassins to snowball up a lead. You do need to be ability focused, but besides that, you should be good to go on to buy this. Shadow Flame is going to be a burst mage's best friend, or a good way to help snowball up a lead if you're a mage mid lane and all you want is more damage without having to sit through the Rabadon's Deathcap Power Trough. This is a good way to say, I'm ending the game before 20 minutes. And Winter's Approach is a new tank item that provides a plethora of mana and can give extra defenses in the middle of a fight. It is a Tear of the Goddess item, so you will be suffering through that power trough, but it definitely means that if you have the ability to stack it up, you're going to be an extremely beefy champion in later game team fights. So this is a really, really interesting item here that I also don't think mages are really going to be able to abuse. So really excited to see how all these shape out. I'm really excited mostly for the Crown of the Shattered Queen. I think it's going to be exceedingly good on a lot of the mid lane mages, but also Fimbulwinter I think is just going to be a really exciting one to try out on tank, so a lot of really interesting options here. Moving on down to the tank item adjustments. Now, there are a lot more items that have gotten adjusted down below. I know some of the mage items got sort of shifted around a little bit, but I'm mostly excited about the tank items because I feel like now they all are very strong options, and which item you go is actually going to matter quite a bit. I also think the new Chem Tank is quite strong, but let's go ahead and go through the mythic adjustments really quick. Frostfire now deals damage in the area of effect of the icy attack as opposed to having some of that damage tied up in the Immolate passive, so that's going to be quite good. It does allow you to get sort of an AoE amount of damage in the middle of team fights, making it less about the pick and more about getting that kind of damage. Chem Tank lost the Immolate passive entirely, but now it gives a boosted first attack after filling up the tank. This means that if you are the kind of champion that wants to be sprinting in with the active effect and get that first hit on somebody, for example, Udyr or Skarner, this is going to be an exceedingly strong pick going forward. I really think that Chem Tank has gotten a massive glow up and is going to be very good for a lot of tanks going forward. And Sunfire just got straight buffed. I think all of the stats got improved here, and the Mythic passive was updated to a really spicy change here, giving 5% slow resist, tenacity, and 50 health per item you finish. Is exceedingly strong on a tank and really allows you to, if you're ahead on a tank, you go Sunfire, you get all the bonus damage from the Sunfire, you get all these bonus stats. You can be like kind of like a battle tank, which is kind of a cool thing. Abyssal Mask is hilariously just back to the old Abyssal Scepter, where you reduce magic resistance to nearby enemies just by existing, so that's kind of funny. Force of Nature is better at absorbing repeated magic damage sources than it was before. It doesn't give as much movement speed, but it's going to be more in line with Adaptive Helm in order to be a good item to buy into a Cassiopeia or Rise or Rumble or that kind of a deal. And Knight's Vow is back to a previous state where it gives you healing based on the damage your ally deals, as opposed to just giving your ally damage reduction based on essentially your health. So all these items, I think, are really impactful changes here. I do think that some of the mage adjustments are also powerful, but I feel like the tank items in general have the more impactful updates here on this patch. And finally, at the number one change, we've talked about it, we've covered it quite a bit, but it is going to be the addition of First Strike to replace Prototype Omnistone. Now, ready or not, here it comes. I think it's going to be exceedingly strong, especially on artillery champions or assassins, because it's not only gold. The damage amp that it gives, if you're able to pick and choose fights or be the first one to start a fight, is going to be really strong. I do feel like there are going to be some champions that are not going to want to buy this, but especially a champion like Xerath, for example, that has no CC, that can't always land the combat damage. Like, you're just going to take First Strike because it's bonus damage, it's bonus gold. Assassins are getting bonus damage and bonus gold to help them snowball better. Like, this is going to be really good. I think it's going to be too good, but we'll see how it shakes up after launch. And that is going to be it for me today, guys. Those are the top 5 changes of patch 11.23. Like I said, there is so much stuff here. I could have gone on for probably another 15 minutes, but I'm not going to do that today. So make sure you read the patch notes and then let me know which changes you're most excited for down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave it a like. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days like today as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all later.